Happy Friday! How are all the empathic, sensitive souls doing today? It is Friday, finally. This week has been very long for some reason, and I'm not quite sure why. It just seems to be, it went fast, but it was long. If that makes sense? On Monday, we drew that flying card where it asks you to see things from a higher perspective, that you have the power to do that, that you can pull yourself out of whatever drama you're going through and look at it from a different perspective and reply or respond or act or react a different way. Has that worked for you this week? I had to keep it's funny that on Monday, when I draw the cards, how it plays out all week long. And part of it is, I think the card makes me think and focus on that aspect. So this week has been full of trials and tribulations. People's emotions are running high, and I'm not quite sure how and why some of the reactions happen or why people are acting or reacting the way they are. And of course, I like to mull over it and think on it and like wonder why they said that, or well, this whole scenario just does not make sense. And I try to put myself into their shoes. I try to look at it from their point of view. I try to look at it on how I talk, my tone of voice, because I get very matter of a fact and my voice gets louder as I'm thinking through, trying to think on how to explain to have someone understand. And then everybody thinks I'm mad and upset. No, I'm just working through my own head, trying to figure out how to talk, how to explain it. So I can understand somebody thinking that I'm upset, but I'm really not. And after being there for so many years, one would think that people would recognize that about me. And I tried to change that aspect, but it's very hard because that's how my brain functions. That's how the workflow flows, right? So trying to pull myself up and out and think from a different perspective it's been very helpful this week. Instead of listening to my friends or family rant and rave and get on their bandwagon with this and that and come up with my own scenarios to perpetuate the nastiness or the frustration or the anger. It's like, okay, well, yeah, that happens. Okay. And instead of coming up with, oh, well, do you remember this, that, and the other that they did to you? Okay, yeah, yeah. So instead of adding fuel to the fire, I'm trying to look at it from a higher perspective and just let them vent without adding to the misery. And that's been very interesting because as I try to change and shift my action and reaction, it, their rant, yeah, they have to get it off their chest, but not for an extended period of time, and it fizzles rather quickly. So that was a very interesting change for me. And I'm like, I'm going to have to remember that. So this flying card, which is absolutely beautiful, you have the power to see things from a higher perspective. You can align yourself with your higher purpose. You can find things that you are looking for. You have the ability to reach for the stars. Your waiting is over. So that's a quite interesting perspective in itself. But it's a very beautiful card. I think it's just gorgeous. It reminds me of a, what do you call those on the carousel, the horses on the carousel? But hopefully this card resonated with you this week. Trying to find, and it's not an upper hand, it's an overview of what's going on, and then tweaking how I act or react to whatever's going on around me. It has shifted and changed a few of my conversations, whereas I don't think it would have before, without me trying to look at it from a different view. And I know my coworker likes to, well, I don't understand why she said this or did this or acts this way, because that's her. And so instead of adding fuel to the fire, it's okay, well, probably because she's had trauma or drama in her life and that's how she's learned how to respond. And of course, nobody likes when you say stuff like that because they want to do the gossipy, ranty, ravey thing and get everybody up in arms and get, you know what I mean? So looking at things from a higher perspective, looking at things from a different viewpoint, it, it shifts and changes a conversation. And sometimes people get upset with me because I have shifted and changed. And I'm no fun to rant and rave to anymore. When I would get snarky emails and not respond or respond with, well, because that's the way it's always been, or that's the way she always reacts, or, well, that's normal. She's afraid of making a mistake, and this is the response that she had. The emailer doesn't like that reaction from me. They want me to jump on the bandwagon of bad mouthing the person they're complaining about. So it starts to shift and change. I get less and less snarky emails. Now, once in a while, I can only put up with so much, and then I fly off the handle to myself in my own head about all the injustices that I think have occurred. You know, the right fighter kind of thing. But I try not to say anything to the coworkers around me because then again we're adding fuel to that fire and I don't want that. So it's interesting. This flying card, it was a awesome card this week. I think the cards for me pull attention to what I need to work on during the week. What as a group we need to focus on, and maybe there's trials and tribulations going on in your work or your family, and pull yourself up and out and view it from a different perspective. And it's very hard when you're in it, when you're stuck in those emotions and you're living it live. But sometimes that's the best time to stop and pull your emotions out and look at it from a different view. And why am I fighting about this? Why am I getting so upset about this? Because we're on autopilot. It's a habit. And a lot of those habits we can break. If you want to learn how to break habits, if you want to stop getting stuck and pull yourself up out of the drama, as an intuitive emotional healer, I can help you work through that. I can help you lessen the hold that those emotions that trigger you or activate you to act that way. And there is usually somewhere in the midst of whatever it is that is activating or triggering you, there's an emotion component to it that takes you back, and that's your autopilot. And we can shift that autopilot and we can stop you from acting and reacting that way. You change your perspective. You fly different. You fly higher. Sometimes you fly lower and skirt along the edge. Whatever. If this is something you want to work on, let me know. Drop me a comment, reply to an email. I'm here to help. I love to help people succeed, to move through their drama and trauma and create the life that they want to create. I hope you guys have a fantastic Friday and an awesome weekend. We have hot temps today, cold and rain. It's fall in Wisconsin. That's just the way it is. We have the topsy-turvy roller coaster weather right now. Have a great one, everyone. See you next week for a new card draw. Bye for now.